Worked very well. All right, we're recording. We're blue screen with a pretty picture and everything, and we're ready to go.
Mm.
So we are moving through this thing, and I am just amazed at God's timing and provision because the things that we're doing here are the things that we're walking through in this season, and so I'm really kind of wowed by God's goodness. So I've got the recording going. And we've been talking about vision for the last few weeks and basing it and building from Habakkuk 2, 2, and 3. Write the vision, make it plain on the tablets. So we've got to have a clear picture of what that vision looks like. And to translate it from what we see to tablets is really a challenge. But when we do that, who reads it, who can grasp that vision can run, can take off. I know where I'm going. Let's go. Let's do this. The vision is yet for an appointed time, which I think means two things. And for me, maybe it doesn't really, but for me, it says two things. One is what we see down the road is on the way to us and it's coming. But it also kind of means that what we see down the road is not the end of the story, but just a waypoint along a bigger story, along a bigger journey. But at the end, it will speak and will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will continue to evolve. It will continue to grow, but also what we see will come to pass. Not only what we see, but what we see and more, because what we see now plus what we see after that will come. It will not tarry. That's the way God works, and we see that all the way from the very beginning. In the beginning, it started, and it's still going on today. We spent some time talking about the process, and again, as we look at visions in any format, but especially scripturally and outside of that, vision starts from the top down. It's the Holy Spirit will plant a vision in somebody, and then it'll drift down and emanate down throughout the people, throughout the organization. But we have to be able to write it on the tablets and be able to kind of explain it and let other people grab hold of it. And so what we've been doing is sort of walking through some steps. There are different ways to go about doing this. You may not need to do this at all. You may have to take some time kind of walking through steps to be able to make it clear, make it plain on the tablets. And so we walk through this, one process that can help do that. Okay. So we started off with the who are we kind of things, nouns that describe how we're different from other people, for other organizations, because we talk one about individual vision that I have, which I can embed myself and the visions I have into a larger vision. That's the corporate vision for the people that I'm in covenant with. So there are actually two levels of this: my level plus the corporate level. But we'll also have some intermediate levels for each of the different kind of within a larger corporate vision. There's going to be sub units within that, and there'll be a vision for that also align with the bigger one. So there's really kind of a pyramid sort of a thing. So we start off with nouns, how we're different, what we are, that sort of define this body, this group, this people. Then we talk about how do we connect with others through service, through evangelism, through whatever kind of things we do that connect us with other people. So who we are and what we do. And then the third step was what does this whole thing look like down the road? And those are just some techniques to help us to be able to present a clear picture to somebody else and have something that as we're talking with other people, this is who we are. This is our vision. And that vision includes who we are, what we do, and where we're going. Um, and then the last piece of our puzzle is some outside features that are helpful for us and for challenges. Some things in the world, the political realm, the economic realms, some big picture kind of things that might be good for us or there might be challenges for us, and then some more direct things again on the outside, but still some more direct things like the people we work directly with, the people we buy stuff from, the people we provide services to, the people who we cooperate with to carry out our mission, just like We saw the ads, the Facebook ads about the upcoming tent crusade and bringing in some outside people to help in that ministry. So that's exactly what we're talking about. Those are some of the outside uh, helpful things. There are some outside challenges, fires. That would be a general kind of thing. But we may have some other kind of ministries that feel like they're in competition with us or trying to distract from us or some things like that. So we're going to list all those things out. And if you're familiar with corporate literature, that's actually called a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, a SWOT analysis. So that's what that's all about. So then we've got a picture of who we are, where we're going, what the end game looks like, and some things we got to deal with or take advantage of along the way. Okay, we remember all that stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all crystal clear, as kind of like mud soup, right? But that's the process. That's the way it works. Is
Yeah.
it's not an immediate the lights on and I got it. Sometimes that might happen, but more often, more common is it's something that just you put some water and with some stuff in it, and after a while it kind of settles down. We used to buy milk, and we would buy like a month's worth of milk at a time, and then mom would stick it in the freezer so it would keep. And then when she pulled it out of the freezer, it'd begin to separate. And that's kind of what happens in our minds. Different pieces of this puzzle will begin to separate out, and we'll begin to see a clear picture of it.
Hmm.
Uh, so after we've kind of got the vision down and kind of have some idea where we're going and what the road looks like, there's some other kind of things that go along with actually executing a vision. Vision leaks. Okay. People need to be constantly reminded of it. We can't just, it's not a one-off thing to where here's the vision, let's go do this, but it's something that has to keep on being brought up in front again and again and again and again. Uh, for the United States, the flag is a part of the vision. It reminds people of where we came from and where we're going. And it reminds people how we get there and how many people have given so very much for us to be there. And Australia has the same kind of representation with their flag. So flags and other kind of symbols kind of help with that. And history class, all kind of things help us to reinforce and keep building that vision and keep it in front of us. And so vision leaks, we have to be constantly reminded of a vision, and we have to do it from a lot of different angles. So from stories, from pictures, from step by step, from teaching, from all kinds of ways we're going to remember and have that vision constantly brought up in front of us and who it is. A slogan in the Ignite Sanctuary has got the slogan, "There's no city too great for us," which is a classic. I mean, that's like kind of like the poster picture for how to keep vision in front of people. So we keep on doing that. It may take months or longer for people to really grasp its full meaning. And when you work in ministries much or around or by ministries, you see that when a word's coming through the leadership, it's usually going to take 3 to 6 months for the people to begin to get it and really start grasping the message that the minister has had, that the leadership has had. And vision may take even longer than that partly because it evolves.
That makes sense.
But we've got to keep at it again and again. It's who we are. Just like when you're relating with other people in personal relationships, you're always carrying out things and doing things that reflect who you are. And so we're constantly reflecting who we are and where we're going. Um, and the last thing is just a neat tickling reminder for me. Vision with culture together, vision and culture will guide the decisions that you make. It will help establish policies and strategies. Just about everything we do and every decision we make will be guided proactively through the vision and the culture. And you find that as you really embrace those two things, that a lot of the questions that come up never come up. A lot of the questions people may have, or a lot of the things that might become problems, never come up. It's amazing how many things don't ever come up because they've already been taken care of by people having a clear vision and culture, which we'll start talking about here in a few minutes. So, and that's why I keep saying that the two most important jobs, or two of the four critical jobs for leaders are to create and cast a vision and to develop and maintain a culture. Um, the other two are critical as well, but those two start the ball rolling. Um, and one secular writer who does a lot of really good stuff, Simon Sinek. I'm not sure how the name is, but that's the best I've got. People follow leaders whose beliefs they share and who inspire them, not those who rely on authority manipulation. If you've got to say, I'm the boss, I'm the leader, I have the position, for people to respond to you, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes parents have to say, because I said so. I'm the parent, and you're not. But if that's what you build your leadership on, then you're going to lose it before very long at all. Okay.
Absolutely.
But so it's the when they latch onto the beliefs that you have, when they align with your beliefs, the vision that you have, and the inspiration that you give them, beliefs that they share. We're talking about culture, and vision as well, but who inspire them, that's a visionary term. And so when we build on those things, then we've got a following that will stick with us through thick and thin, right and wrong, up and down, and things like that. Again, a lot of the people walking off on their own, doing their own thing, a lot of behavioral problems, a lot of motivational problems, and all kinds of challenges that leaders often face never come up or don't come up very much because we've done a good job with these two things of vision and culture. So um, so as we've walked through the vision thing, we have an idea then of who we are and where we're going. And so now we can start building a culture that pulls people together and creates that environment within the organization. Okay. So a culture is the environment within the organization that we're all a part of. And it's made up of all the people and it's made up of all the things that we do and so forth. It may be the most important responsibility that you have. It may developing and the vision is important because you really can't build a culture without it. But the vision's going nowhere without a strong culture, without a supportive and vibrant and living culture. Okay, so, it guides what you do, and it puts everyone on one mind and one mentality and one mindset. Everybody's on the same page. Okay, it's a key of unity. If everybody, if you've got a good, solid culture, and cultures are as different as night and day. There's not one best kind of culture. The culture aligns with your vision. It's what your vision says. This is how we ought to be. But when you've done that, then you've got people who are all on the same page. It's a key to unity and leading and motivating because it's easy. You don't have to start trying to coerce people to do anything. They're already with you. Okay. So I want to look at an example, a scriptural example from Joshua. And I began to think of this. This is just a beautiful picture of what we're talking about, and actually more fitting than we than we might have wanted it to. But Joshua chapter 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving you, the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage, for this people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous. That's the second time I've heard that line. That you may observe to do all the law which Moses my servant commanded you, not turn from the right or the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Now, right off the bat, there's two things going on here. One is the leadership has been handed to Joshua. First thing, God gives him a vision. Right off the bat, before anything else, God's presenting the vision. This is the land. You're going to take the land, and nobody's going to stand in front of you. We're going to deliver as I promised to Moses. This is it. Now, Joshua wasn't Moses, and he didn't do the things Moses did, and he did not try to fulfill Moses' vision. Okay, because Moses brought them to the promised land, but Joshua built on that vision and carried it on farther. So he made the vision his own and moved forward with it. Okay. So a more contemporary example would be Joel Osteen, who stepped in and took his father's church and built off that, but he made it his own. He built on the vision that his father began, that his parents began, but he made it his own and carried it farther and carried it in the direction it needed to go. Okay. So it wasn't that he totally blew things up and started over again, or wasn't that he tried to keep doing the exact same things.
Because it would fail.
Very much, yeah. David did the same thing when he took over the kingdom. You know, Saul had got things started. He kind of got crazy. Didn't kind of get crazy. The guy went nuts. But uh, but David took what Saul began and made it his own and extended the kingdom and made it stable. Okay.
And then Solomon took it and took it further.
Exactly. That's the very next thing. Solomon brought peace to the land. David was a warrior.
Mhm.
Okay. Solomon built on what David started, but he didn't do the same things David did. He made it his own and brought peace to the land. Okay.
Mhm. Amen.
So okay, so back to Joshua. We're in chapter 1, verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do all that is written in it, for then you'll make your way prosperous. Then you'll have good success. Have not I commanded you, be strong and of good courage. That's the third time we hear that one. Do not be afraid nor dismayed. The Lord is with you wherever you go. To me, the simple version of that is just do what I told you to do. Don't start wandering off on your own rabbit trails. This is what you're supposed to do. Just do it. Okay. And don't try to fill in the blanks for me because that's my job. Okay. You do your job, let me do my job. And then, but you've got to be strong and be courageous because you're going to have some opposition. You're going to have people within the ranks kind of saying, what about this and what about this, trying to do their thing and maybe undermine your leadership. You be strong, you be courageous, and trust me that I will do my job while you do yours. For I am with the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Okay. Then in verse 10, Joshua commanded the officers, saying, pass through the camp and command the people, saying, prepare provisions for yourself. For within 3 days you'll cross over this Jordan to go in and possess the land which your God is going to give you. Step one, begins to pass that vision out, to deliver that vision to the Israelites. Okay. Then Reuben, Gadites, and Manasseh came to him. Remember the word which Moses. Now they had already been given. They said, "Can we have this land on the east side of the Jordan River?" Moses said, "Yeah, that's fine. Take that, but you've got to step in and help your brothers out when they go in and take the other side of the river too." And so for verse 12 uh, through 15 is talking about that. You know, you remember, you guys, yeah, but your warriors have to go with us, and not only go with us, but your warriors are going to be in front. You've already got your land, your families will be able to take care of your land and grow crops and stuff. Your warriors will be in front of the land, which I thought was an interesting kind of a twist. We'll be in front of the armies. When we're done, then you can go home. So in verse 16, they answered Joshua, all you command us, we will do. So they bought into the vision. Okay. And then they not only bought into the vision, but just like Simon Sinek said, they bought into what he believed and what he was telling them. Okay. So they submitted to his leadership because of what he carried and what he presented to them, the beliefs and the vision that he carried. They submitted to him because of that. Just as we heeded Moses in all things, we will heed you. Moses had the vision. Moses was the leader then, so that's been transferred. Now we will heed you. Only the Lord, but it was a very different kind of a thing. Okay. Only the Lord be God, Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. So yeah, as long as you're staying on track, things are good. And whoever rebels against your command and does not heed your words and all that you command him, he shall be put to death. So it's a pretty tight covenant here. Anybody messes up, they're toast. All right. Only be strong and of good courage. These people bought into the same thing that God told Joshua directly, be strong and of good courage. The vision had already carried down from what God was telling Joshua down to his followers, be strong and of good courage. That part of the vision had already penetrated and gotten down the line some. And but in the so we've got this kind of thing where the vision had been communicated to Joshua. Uh, 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 it was a continuation and further development of the vision that Moses had. Okay. And then it got passed down, and Joshua immediately passed that down to the people and said, "We're with you. We will go." Now, interestingly, while the vision was basically a continuation and a maturing of the earlier vision, the culture had changed a lot. The culture had to adapt to the changes in the vision. Okay. So God showed Joshua his vision for Israel, and Joshua owned it. Yeah, I'm in it. I'm all in. And he set the condition: do what I tell you to do, but be courageous, because there's been going to be times you got doubts. You're going to try to do things on your own. There's going to be times when you want to run. There's going to be times when you're going to want to make decisions on your own and do it this way or that way. There's going to be a lot of distractions popping up that's going to kind of get you off track. No, you be strong. You stay the course. You stick with it. You do what I've given you to do, and stay in your wheelhouse. Stay in your lane. Okay. Now the culture under Moses, they were nomads in the desert. They were manna eaters. They weren't farmers. They weren't warriors. They weren't anything. They just kind of trudging along, living a nomadic lifestyle, eating the direct provision from God in the manna and the quail. Okay. Under Joshua, there was immediate transformation of that culture from the nomads and the wanderers to the army and the nation of warriors. So the culture adapted to the maturing of the vision. Okay. And I thought that was a really clear picture. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. Absolutely.
That's good.
So um so what is a culture? What is this vague fuzzy animal we call a culture? It's like a personality. Okay, an organization culture is like the organization's personality. Just like each one of us have our own dispositions and our tendencies and the way we act and the way we do things, the way we think, and those kinds of things, and all the diversity God has created in us. Culture does this thing. Culture does the same thing for an organization. It provides patterns and habits and attitudes, how we do things, the way we work together, the expectations we have, and so now again, there's not one good and one bad. They're all going to be different because organizations do different kind of things. They're going to have different kinds of cultures.
Yeah.
One's going to be very tight, where the prescriptions and the the unwritten rules for what you do and how you do it are very tight and very rigid. For others, they're going to be very loose.
Mhm.
Even within an organization, there's going to be different units in an organization. They're going to have different subcultures. That's okay, because you got to have a culture that fits who you are, what you're doing. Okay. Another
Mhm.
way to think about it, it's the shared values and assumptions. The things that we agree on, the things that we believe together. Okay. The way we look at things. One assumption is just on positive encouragement for people. We assume that when people get together and have a conversation, there's going to be encouragement involved. It's going to be redemptive in nature. And if it doesn't fit that, then we know there's something needs to be adjusted somewhere on one side of this conversation or the other. Now, there's going to be correction sometimes, and you're going to be sometimes we got to say, yeah, but what about this, and kind of walk through things and work them out. But it's being worked out on this basic assumption of encouragement and redemption. Okay, so that's one I just kind of throw up as an example on how we do things. Okay. A culture may be kind of a boundary. Okay. A culture has a lot of unwritten rules, just like you don't write down every aspect of your own personality. You don't write down everything about a culture, but they're just understood. It's kind of knowing the ropes of a place, of an organization. I know how to do things. I know how things get done. I know how we act. So it's unwritten rules about how we act and how we get things done, how we work together. Again, encouraging and redemption in nature and responsiveness and stepping in to fill out when somebody needs a helping hand or whatever the case may be. Okay. Um, culture can include different roles people have. And you'll find in any organization, people kind of fit different little slots. Now you got to have a job description type of a thing that kind of describes these are the kinds of things that I do. But the role you have is like a bigger idea about how I fit. What kinds of things I provide, not just the job I do, but there's going to be somebody who's going to be a visionary person, and that's going to be a leadership kind of a role. Okay, but somebody who kind of helps provide and pass the vision down through a task leader, somebody who's got this is the job we've got going. Let's go do this, and executes various kinds of tasks, setting up a tent. Okay, taking down a tent, all those very task specific kind of things. Assembling and putting together the food ministries or the street ministry. Somebody who's kind of taking those tasks on and executing those. A lieutenant, sort of a backup, sort of a support role. If I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do here, and so the task leader is kind of busy and kind of wrapped up in what's going on. So you go to this lieutenant and say, well, what's this kind of going on? They kind of help support. Or if you ever watch a lot of movies, will have a sidekick in it. There'll be like the main hero guy, and there'll be a sidekick that kind of walks along beside him and keeps everybody in line and kind of helps keep the people uh, on track and doing what they need to be doing, stuff like that. That's the kind of lieutenant thing, kind of a support role. A lot of times you're going to find that somebody who's just given an encouragement role, and then people will talk about a ministry of encouragement, things like that. That's exactly what we're talking about. Who reinforces the kind of atmosphere that this organization has. Somebody with some expertise who knows how to do things. I know how to do this job. Let's go do it. Somebody who's got outside relationships, both with provides information to the outside and receives information from the outside the organization to kind of keep people on top of that. Just like some of the questions about uh, the legal aspects of the kinds of things we do. So that's an outside connection thing, is understanding the legal dimensions and things like that. So, and a lot of others. Those are just sort of some. There's going to be a lot of others as well. So where are we at? What do you think?
Good.
Um,
I'm throwing a lot in your face. Is it digesting any?
Absolutely.
Or are you still trying to figure out what it tastes like? Yeah. Vision speaks about where we're going. Culture is about what we believe and how we're going to act together on the way. Vision is like the roadmap, and culture is like what's going on inside the car on the highway. That may have been too vivid a picture for somebody, but I'll leave it at that. Culture can attract people to your organization, okay? As people get to know the atmosphere of your organization, some people will want to be part and join up, okay? Which is a big help if you're trying to bring people in and make decisions about who you bring in. Then that attraction that they have, it's a big help because you don't have to do so much calling out yourself. Because sometimes it'll help avoid people that don't fit. As they begin to see the culture and so forth, they say, "No, this is not my place," and that's a good thing. If people who don't fit don't try to fit, then we like that, right? It saves us a lot of problems. There's a church group that Nancy and I strongly support, back up in all kinds of different ways. We provide a little financial support here and there for some of the activities they get involved in, and if people say anything positive or negative about it, we're always there to kind of defend and say, yeah, these are good folks, and so on. But it's not a group that I really feel like I fit with. Okay, there's just different aspects about their culture that just don't really connect, that I just don't connect with. I'll support them in everything that you ask me about them, but as far as actually joining up and being a part of it, that would take a change for me. because it's just the dots don't really connect for me personally, which is a good thing because then I'm free to go where I need to go and do what I need to do, and they don't have to worry about me, and I don't have to worry about them. We can walk side by side without having to get into taking it where it doesn't need to go. Okay.
Mm.
Culture creates a sense of belonging for the ones who do fit in, because it gives us a sense of identity. You know, the organizations that we're part of consume the majority of our waking hours. The only thing we do with our time more than interact with the organizations we're part of is sleep, right? And especially in ministry positions, uh, pastors get burned out a lot because they spend a lot of time, doing pastoral work, and so, it's a huge part of your thoughts of everything that you do, and so having that sense of belonging, we as individuals, as human beings, we get a lot of our personal identity from the organizations we connect with. Okay. And I began noticing that when I'd switch from one job to another job, especially if it's one industry to another industry, then over time I'd find my whole mindset would begin to adapt and fit in with the people I was working with.
Mhm.
I went to work at a chemical plant one time, and a lot of people working there like to go fishing. And I mean, this is in some South Alabama along the coast there, and there was more fishing than you knew what to do with. And so a lot of times they'd clock out of work and go fishing. And just after that, one of the guys that I worked with liked to go fishing. I never really cared much about fishing. I loved to be outside, and if I was going fishing, I just figured the best way to fish is without bait on the hook, because then I didn't have to clean the fish. But just to be outside and be in nature and being around all that stuff I love that. But as far as the fishing part itself, I wasn't interested. But then I found
Yeah.
myself kind of getting interested in fishing because everybody else I was around was. Okay. And
That's a
so,
good culture.
uh, yeah. And of course, as soon as I got away from people who fished, I didn't care again. That was the end of that. But we adapt, and we begin to identify and connect personally with the organizations we're part of.
Yeah.
And so having a positive, encouraging, uplifting, safe culture goes a long way to get people to connect personally and create a sense of belonging, which is really, really valuable. If you stop and think about it, if somebody feels like they belong with you, it is so easy to work with them. If somebody has questions about it, then there's a lot more work and a lot more effort involved, a lot more challenges. So culture really helps with that. It motivates and guides. It helps with a lot of the decisions. A lot of the decisions that you make in an organization are guided by the culture. Does this fit with who we are? Does this not fit with who we are? Does this person fit in this position or somewhere else? We're buying and selling. Is this the kind of thing that we need to buy, or do we need to go and buy something else? Do we need to go to the secondhand store? Do we need to go to the top of the line, a fashion store? They're neither is right or wrong. It's what fits who we are and what we're doing. Okay. How we make evaluations about what people do, about the work they've done, and so forth. If some people are kind of loose cannons and stuff, but still very creative, if that's what we need. It's what we need. We need to appreciate that. If we don't need that, and that's causing ripples and problems, then we know how to address that. We know that doesn't fit with who we are and what we're doing. How we reward people for what we do. Encourage all the kind of things that we do with other people. Culture will provide guidance for that, and again, make things so unbelievably easy compared to how it is if we don't have that. Um, Everything that happens in an organization is a result of culture. How people act, how people do their work, how people get along together, everything is the result of the culture. And it starts from the top and filters down. It grows from the vision, and the leader who bursts the vision is the one who bursts the culture. Okay. Are you starting to believe me yet?
Yes.
I'm not a salesman, so I got to ask if my sales pitch is going okay.
Yep.
Okay. Culture lets people know what's okay and what's not okay. It's the way we like things to be. Culture, now, kind of in nuts and bolts, everyday kind of thing. Culture can include heroes and stories and images. Again, that banner in front in the sanctuary room is a great cultural example of an image that communicates something about the character and the nature of Ignite. Other kinds of different aspects of what we do and the way we lay things out and decorate things. The heroes that we have, of course, we get a lot of our identity as an organization from Dr. Wayne and so on. So that kind of guides and sets in place and establishes a lot of things about what we believe and how we do things, how we get work done, how we relate and connect with people on the inside and on the outside. Uh, his passion for redeeming, for being redemptive, defines how we relate to people. If somebody gets out of line, we don't immediately want to be punitive. We want to be redemptive. Okay, and give people some space and some latitude to be able to grow and to work through things and to mature. Uh, uh, Helping people to walk into their destinies. Those are all kinds of things that have become part of the culture that he established. And all the stories that he talked about, uh, they help define who Ignite is and what they do and how we get things done, how we work together. Okay, and that will mature. That will some of those kinds of image things will stay because those are things that we can refer to over time and connect back to. That doesn't mean just like Israel talked about Moses and they still do, but that doesn't mean there's still nomads in the desert. Okay,
Yeah.
that means that we're maturing in the walk, in the pathway, in the journey, but still built on that foundation of who we are and where we've gone from there. Um, there's a restaurant chain in the United States, Cracker Barrel, who has a very clear image that they've communicated over time on who they are, the clientele they appeal to, the type of food they serve. And Nancy and I begin those. We go there every once in a while. And we've been commenting, the food's a little different. And then they started making some decoration changes. Well, a couple of weeks ago, they announced they're going to change their logo.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
their stock immediately tanked, dropped by double digits. And I mean, they lost a lot in terms of value. People were complaining on all the social media were full of complaints about they've gone woke and trying to connect with a different audience and everything, and how they redesigned their stores really was a turnoff for a lot of people because it was a radical cultural shift. And they just announced yesterday that they were going to go back to their old logo again because they realized, okay, those images that we've built on we can still build on, but we don't need to trash them, but we can build on them. Okay. We don't need to try to rewrite our history because that's really, really tough to do.
Awesome.
I had a friend several years ago, the university I was with, we wanted to make some changes in their team mascot. And a friend who had come there from other universities says, one thing you never mess with as a university is
Is their mascot.
their mascots and their cheerleaders. People will go crazy because that's the point of identification. That's the connection I have personally with this group, with this university. Okay. And it was a mess, and it still is a mess because they've gone through three mascots and nobody likes any of them. Um, people never will because it's a change. It's a change. So you have those things that sort of are those points of connection that make me feel connected and help me to identify myself to this. But then you can build on that and mature that in various ways as you move on down the journey. Okay. Culture can make people feel safe or threatened. It can make for peace or distress. So we like a safe culture. We like people to feel like they can, if they say something at the wrong time, it's going to be okay. People might kind of look at them out of the kind of side of their eyes or something and kind of raise an eyebrow, or but it's okay. It's not that their personal value is threatened. It's not that they're not acceptable as a human being anymore. It's not that their contributions to the world are diminished and that they're no longer valuable human beings. It's a safe place, and it can make for people. And as Dr. Wayne said countless times, you can't build in a time of war. So if your culture is a culture of distress and threat, and people feel like they're battling and fighting all the time, it'll never grow and it'll never build. You got to have a safe environment. And that's what culture does for us, okay? It can either kill or foster teamwork. People will either feel comfortable in teams or try to go totally off on their own, doing their own thing aside from teamwork. Culture will do. Now that doesn't mean that every individual is going to be exactly right all the time in terms of their attitudes about teams and whatever. It means that you've got some guidelines in the environment, in the atmosphere that guide and direct things. Just like when each one of us does something that's a little off key, we're going to have this little check in our spirit says, no, this isn't quite right. We may go ahead and push through and say, no, I need to correct this, whatever. But we have this little check in our spirit that tells us whether we're doing right or doing wrong. And culture kind of does that for us in our organizations too. Tells us what it means to work here. Okay. What does it mean to be part of Ignite? What does it mean to be a part of any other organization or group? Okay. What contributions am I making? Okay. What is our value? What does it mean to me? Ignite, I'm a valuable part of helping people find their destinies in Christ. Okay. That's what I'm doing. We had a guy who was in charge of our landscaping on the campus here. He wrote a book called From Weeders to Leaders. Because when he came here, the landscaping was a mess. It was when I first came here, I thought this is an ugly campus. It's dirty, it's wore out, and tired and messy and just trashy looking. But I like what they're offering me, and so I'll come. Okay. The chancellor that started his job the same time I started working there understood the how the how the landscaping appeared, how the buildings and how the visual imagery that campus created was very important. So you hired a landscaper that really went to work and really transformed it. They won 5 national awards for the campus beauty since then. But and he would have weekly meetings that were basically vision meetings. And one thing he told me one thing he said at one of the meetings was one of the branch facilities is a hospital, and one of the physicians of the hospital is doing some research and found a way to kill the HIV virus in an unborn infant. So an infant born who was conceived and carrying an HIV positive mother was born without HIV. And so what he told the landscape crew was, wouldn't it be great to be able to think that you were part of the institution that cured AIDS, you know? And that's a big stretch from pulling weeds and planting bushes to AIDS, but it's part of the same thing. I'm part of that. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what it means and what he was telling these guys, what it means to work here and do your job well is you're part of an environment. Who knows if that physician didn't come to work here because she liked what she saw when she first came to campus.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what does it mean to work here? What are the overarching attitudes? Redemption, okay, destiny, those kinds of things. Uh, collegiality, things like that. So now back to pencil and paper time. Let's just take some time. We've got about 15, 14, 13 minutes left. List out 10 things that you think are good features for an organization. Okay. And we're talking about values, what's a good value for us to have. And I mentioned a number of them along the way. And there's going to be tons more. The list is almost endless. So just let your brains go crazy. So values are different kind of environmental characteristics like peace, um, cooperation, whatever. Okay, integrity. So just everybody list out 10 different things that you think are good things to characterize an organization. We'll take about 5 minutes and do that. Okay, we got about 10 or so.
Yep.
All right. Let's just take a couple minutes now, 3 minutes or something, and just put them into three categories. Okay. Just kind of group them, those 10 things together. Uh, things that kind of fit together, kind of similar in terms of what they mean, kind of along the same lines. Just cluster those together in three different categories. Okay, we'll pause with that, and we'll pick up and continue with this next week. But I just kind of want to take a few minutes and sort of lay out some foundation thoughts and kind of share a little bit of bigger picture perspectives. A scripture came to mind, and let me share this with you. It's from Esther chapter 4.
And what? I didn't hear what you said.
Esther, the book of Esther, chapter
Oh,
4.
Esther. Okay.
Yeah. And she was the queen, and some of the king's servants were trying to wipe out Israel, and she was Jewish. And so her uncle, who was also one of the high advisors in the nation, says, we gotta address this. You need to go to the king. And she says, if I go to the king, he can kill me, because anybody who goes before the king without an invitation uh, can die. And so she sent people to tell her uncle that. And so in verse 13, Mordecai told him to answer Esther, don't think in your heart you will escape, okay, any more than anybody else. If you remain completely silent, relief and deliverance will arise from some other place. But later on in verse 14, yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? And that's really what I wanted to center on is who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Who knows whether each one of us is here right now for such a time as this, for where we are, for what Ignite and others of us are all walking through. And I think this is all by divine appointment. That's my take. We are all here by divine appointment. We have purposes. We each have a different role to play. We each have different things to do that all like a sheaf, when you're gathering the corn or gathering the wheat, you bundle them together. We've been bundled together for one calling, for one purpose, for such a time as this. And we need to be sure and I'm not correcting anything, but I just want to encourage everybody to do that. well, I know that we each need to have a vision for ourselves personally and individually about what we bring to the table. We don't need to be perfect in it. We don't need to be able to sell this on Shark Tank. That's not it. We need to have a picture though of who we are and what we bring to the table, what our giftings and what our contributions can be. And that again, we can modify and adapt. That's okay. But we need to have some idea. We need to have some notion, as especially from leadership positions, what the vision is for the group that we lead, for the different ministry or different activities that we've got some authority in. Okay, what is our job together? How do we as a group fit into the bigger picture? And we need to be able to define that and have some notion about what that group, what that ministry brings to the table, what purpose it fulfills, and building together. Now, again, vision starts at the top. And just like with Joshua, it's something that the Lord pours out into the leadership and it drifts and filters down from there. And so I'm not saying that each one of us needs to have have our own individual vision for Ignite, but we need to begin to understand and have a clear picture of what that is and how it fits together and so forth. So because we need to be able to link into something. And we've got a fairly clear. I'm not saying this is not something we don't have a clue. Okay. Just like when Israel came to the Jordan River, they didn't really have Joshua's vision, but they had a pretty good idea of where it was going. Right. And so we don't necessarily have the crystal clear thing. And well, we might. I'm not saying we do or we don't. I'm not trying to put anything out there that way, but we all have an idea of who we are and where we're going and how our particular individual contributions and how our the different ministries and all fit together as well. And so I just wanted to encourage people with that. I am beyond, I'm absolutely, totally 100% convinced that we are all here for such a time as this. And I'm pleased and so proud that we are all here, that we are all contributing in part for such a time as this. It means that we all have to be one. We have to keep our focus on the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. We all have to keep track, just like Joshua. God says, stay in your lane. You do your job. Don't worry about anybody else's job. Don't worry about my job. You do your job, staying in our lanes, fulfilling our responsibilities, and which allows other people to grow up into theirs as well. And Dr. Wayne was great about that, about giving people latitude in their lane. So anyway, God bless you guys. So good to see you. I'm horning in on the next period again. I'm sorry. I keep trying not to do that, but I keep doing it.
Oh, you're all good.
So
Plenty of time.
God bless us, everyone.
Let's see.
on.
Thanks,
Thanks, Mike. Much.
Thank you.